Welcome to Crooked Lake in beautiful Atlanta, Michigan, the elk capital of the Great Lakes State. Sit back, relax, and let me tell you a little about the water we're floating on today and the town that surrounds it. Let's start with Atlanta itself. This little town, which is positioned directly on the 45th parallel, was settled back around 1881 by a man named Alfred West. He was building a state road from near Traverse City over to Alpena when he discovered just how rich these forests were with timber. He set up a sawmill on the banks of the Thunder Bay River, and a town was born. He named it Atlanta because the rolling terrain reminded him of Atlanta, Georgia, where he had fought during the Civil War. By 1893, Atlanta had become the county seat of Montmorency County, and it has been the heart of this area ever since. Back in those days, this whole county was dense forest of white pine, jack pine, and hardwoods. The lumber companies came through and clear-cut much of it, floating the logs down the rivers and hauling them out by rail. When the timber ran out, the county reinvented itself around farming and around what draws so many of us here today, the outdoors. The hunting, the fishing, the lakes, and the wildlife. Now, let me tell you about our own little piece of this lake, because our cottage has a story all its own. It was built back in the 1930s, and it holds a special place in history as the very first cottage ever built on Crooked Creek. The original owner lived here, while he ran a hunting and fishing lodge right on this spot. Back then, this was a destination. Hunters and fishermen came from all around, and to house them, a number of smaller cottages were built across the property. Two of those little cottages are still standing today, and so is the original outhouse, if you can believe that. Everything was built from white pine, cut right from these very woods. The original dwelling was simple, just the one main room to start. Over the years it grew, but that history is still here in the walls. In the late 1970s, the cottage was purchased by Pat and Kathy Sherry, who were cousins of Nancy Draheim. Then in 2004, Gordon and Nancy purchased the cottage from Pat and Kathy, and it has been loved and enjoyed by the Draheim family ever since. So when you're relaxing here, you're part of a story that stretches back nearly 100 years. Now, let's talk about the lake itself. Crooked Lake was created back in 1949 when a dam was put in on the north end. That dam raised and deepened the water, joining the natural basins together and giving us the lake we enjoy today. So this lake, in the form you see it now, is right around 75 years old. And it earned its name honestly. Look at the shape of it. 3 basins curving and bending together like a horseshoe, with narrow strips of land pinching them apart. That crooked, angular shape is exactly how the lake got its name. Crooked Lake covers about 109 acres of water, and it's a deep lake. The basins drop off steeply, with the deepest spot reaching around 45 feet straight down. That depth and structure make it a healthy home for fish and wildlife. The lake is fed from the south by a winding little stream called Crooked Creek. Crooked Creek runs about 3 miles between Avery Lake and Crooked Lake, and that southern channel is the inlet, the water flowing in from Avery Lake to the south. And on the north end, the creek picks up again and runs out toward the dam and the city beach. So the water flows in from Avery Lake to the south, works its way through the lake, and heads out to the north past the dam. All of it is part of the larger Thunder Bay River watershed, which eventually empties into Lake Huron at Alpena. One thing you'll notice as we cruise is how peaceful it is out here, and that's by design. Crooked Lake is a no-wake lake, so there are no speedboats or jet skis tearing across the water. It stays calm, quiet, and perfect for a slow, easy ride like this one. Look around at the shoreline too. The whole lake is ringed by tall pine trees, and many of the cottages sit tucked back behind them, hidden in the woods. That's part of what keeps this place so beautiful. From out here on the water, it still looks wild and natural, the way it always has. Now look around, because this lake is alive with wildlife. Keep your eyes on the water, because Crooked Lake is home to a pair of common loons. These are some of the most beautiful and mysterious birds in all of Michigan. In fact, the loon is a threatened species in our state, with only a few hundred nesting pairs left. So having a pair right here on our lake is something truly special. You'll know a loon when you see one. They have striking black and white feathers, a collar of white stripes, and a deep, elegant profile as they glide across the surface. And then, without a ripple, they vanish. Loons are incredible divers. They have solid, heavy bones, unlike most birds, which lets them slip below the surface and torpedo through the water after fish. They can dive as deep as 200 feet and stay underwater for up to 5 minutes. But here's the thing. Those legs that make them such graceful divers are set way back on their bodies, near the tail. That's perfect for swimming, but it makes walking on land clumsy and awkward. They kind of stumble and lurch along, looking a little crazy doing it. And that, as the story goes, is how the loon got its name. When they walk on land, they look downright loony. Now listen, because the loon is best known for its voice. They have 4 distinct calls. The wail is that long, haunting, mournful cry that carries for miles across the water. The yodel is a wild, rising call given only by the males, and it means, "This is my territory, stay away."
The yodel.
The tremolo is a shaky, laughing call they give when they feel threatened or alarmed. And the hoot is a soft, gentle note they use up close, almost like saying hello to their mate or their chicks. That haunting voice has stirred people for thousands of years, and the loon is woven deep into the legends of this land. To the Ojibwe people of the Great Lakes, the loon is called Mong, and it is one of the most respected of all birds. In their creation stories, when the whole world was covered by a great flood, it was the loon who was among the first to dive down deep beneath the water, searching for a bit of earth to rebuild the land. The loon was seen as a leader and a diplomat, and the Loon clan held a place of honor among the people. There's an old Ojibwe saying, "Thou art a loon-hearted one," and it was one of the finest compliments you could give, praising the brave and noble spirit in another person. Other tribes told stories of the loon restoring sight to a blind man and being rewarded with that beautiful white necklace of feathers around its throat. Some believed the loon's call could summon the rain or foretell a coming storm, which is why one old folk name for the loon was Call Up a Storm. And there's a gentle legend that says if you see a loon, a wish will be granted or a dream will come true. So keep your eyes open today. You just might get your wish. Our loons return to this lake each spring, usually in April, right after the ice melts. The pair mates for life, coming back to the same territory year after year. They build their nest right at the water's edge, often tucked into a sheltered, marshy spot, because their legs are set so far back on their bodies that walking on land is difficult for them. The female lays just 1 or 2 eggs, and both parents take turns keeping them warm for about 4 weeks. And here's the part everyone loves. When the chicks hatch, they're covered in soft black down, and within a day they are already swimming. But those little ones tire quickly, and the water is full of danger from snapping turtles and big northern pike below, and predators like mink and fox along the shore. So the babies climb aboard. Loon chicks ride on their parents' backs, tucked into the feathers for warmth and safety. If you're lucky today, you might just see a fuzzy little passenger hitching a ride. The chicks grow fast. By about 8 weeks, they're diving and catching fish on their own. Then something remarkable happens. In late summer, the parents leave first, flying south to the ocean coasts to spend the winter. The young ones stay behind on the lake, feeding and building their strength, until one day near freeze up they run across the water, lift off, and make that long journey south all by themselves, on pure instinct. They'll live out on the sea for about 3 years before returning north to raise families of their own. A loon can live 30 years or more. The loons aren't the only stars out here. Watch the shorelines and the shallows for the great blue heron. This is that tall, slender, gray-blue bird you'll see standing perfectly still in the reeds, patient as a statue, waiting to spear a fish or a frog. When it takes off, it unfolds enormous wings and flies with slow, prehistoric grace. And look to the skies and the tallest trees, because this is bald eagle country. Our national bird has made a tremendous comeback in northern Michigan, and these lakes are a favorite hunting ground. You might spot one perched high on a dead limb, scanning the water, or soaring overhead on wings that can stretch more than 6 feet across. Eagles love a lake like this, full of fish and quiet coves. And the wildlife doesn't stop at the water's edge. Watch the shoreline and you may spot a beaver at work, gliding along at dusk with just its head above the surface, or slapping its flat tail on the water as a warning. Their smaller cousin, the muskrat, is out here too, swimming low through the reeds and the cattails. Along the banks, white-tailed deer come down to drink in the early morning and evening. And remember, this is the elk capital of Michigan, so you may catch sight of one of those majestic elk moving through the forest, the very animal that gives Atlanta its claim to fame. We even share these woods with black bears, so if you see one ambling along the shore, count yourself lucky and give it plenty of room. The bird life around here is something special too. Beyond the loons, herons, and eagles, these woods and wetlands are alive with a wide variety of birds. Listen for the wild, laughing call of the pileated woodpecker, that big crow-sized bird with the flaming red crest, hammering away at a dead tree. You'll hear songbirds in the branches, ducks and geese out on the water, ospreys hunting overhead, and kingfishers rattling as they dart along the shore. Every trip out here brings something new to see and hear. Now let's talk fishing, because this lake is a good one. There's a real variety here. You'll find largemouth and smallmouth bass, walleye, yellow perch, rock bass, black crappie, and plenty of panfish. But make no mistake about the king of this lake. The major fish here, the one that draws anglers from all over, is the northern pike. These are hard-fighting, sharp-toothed predators, and Crooked Lake grows them well. In fact, this lake has quite a reputation. Over the years, Crooked Lake has produced many trophy fish at the Atlanta Pike Tournament. So if you feel a strong tug on your line while we're out here, hang on tight, because you just might have a trophy northern on the other end. Now, here's something you can only enjoy after the sun goes down, but it's worth mentioning. Crooked Lake is one of the finest stargazing spots you'll ever find. We're more than 60 miles from the nearest city lights out here, so there's almost no light pollution to wash out the sky. On a clear, dark night, the heavens absolutely come alive. You can see the Milky Way stretching from one horizon to the other like a river of stars. Shooting stars streak across the sky, so many that you'll lose count. You'll watch big, golden moonrises climb up over the tree line and lay a path of light across the water. And if you're really lucky, on the right night, you might even catch the northern lights shimmering green and pink along the northern horizon. So if you're staying the night, do yourself a favor. Come back down to the water after dark, tip your head back and just take it all in. So as we cruise along today, keep your eyes and your ears open. Watch for the flash of a diving loon, the still silhouette of a heron, and the white head of an eagle against the blue. Listen for that wild, wailing call drifting across the water. This is the real northern Michigan, and there's no better place to enjoy it than right here on Crooked Lake. Now sit back, enjoy the ride, and welcome to the lake.